John, usually I try some interesting preamble with biography, etc., to welcome a guest. I'm just going to say two words: Chris Russo.
Great to have Mad Dog on again. He was on previously and he was a huge hit. And this is great timing because the Mets and the Yankees are struggling, shall we say. I think I'll have a few things to say about that.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get in any words edgewise on about the Mets or Yankees. So our first segment, I'm sure, is going to be a lot about you and I talking about the struggles of the two New York teams for 8+ weeks now. We'll play hit and error at the end, and if please stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman. John, I know we never want to be a broken record, but it feels like we're at about 7 or 8 weeks, maybe even a little longer than that, of having the same theme, which is, man, we're old enough to remember when New York baseball was good in early June, but it has not been good since then. They've been two of the worst teams in the sport. And I almost think because historically so much is thought of the Yankees and expectations that the Yankees have given some camouflage to the Mets because the Mets have just been dreadful and in some way are fortunate that it's possible there's only six decent teams in the National League. We're going to see if the Reds are good enough or this version of the Cardinals or Giants or whatever. Like it feels like the Mets might get in because there's simply not a seventh good team. Though Hunter Green coming back for the Reds this week might make them even more interesting. John, the Mets just got swept in Milwaukee. That's a Milwaukee team without Mizorowski, without Churio, uh, and they just took it to the Mets. What do you think about the state of the Mets now?
Well, it's not good. And I just checked in with a scout and he said, I can't believe they're going to keep slip sliding with this team but I mean, look, it's gone a lot longer than anyone would have thought. It's 12 out of 13. You want to say, well, the Brewers are hot. They've got some magic going, but the Mets haven't beaten anybody but the San Francisco Giants since around July 23rd or 24th. That's the only team. They have 4 wins over the Giants, nobody else. It's not good. The starters don't go long enough. The core four, the new core four, not the Yankee core four, your core four, not performing like you'd expect. Really, I mean, other than let's say Diaz, who gave up the home run yesterday, the game winner, and Peterson and maybe two other guys, they've all been below what we expected. Every one of them, and that includes all of the core four guys, I think. Although, I mean, Alonso, I guess, is about what you'd expect. It's better than last year. Don't want to get on him. I think he's been pretty good overall, but uh, this team is very worrisome right now. And you could say, yeah, they're going to get in. There's only six really good teams. I don't know if they're one of them, but the Reds are a threat. They've got Tito. They've got great pitching. It's not looking like a shoe-in at this point.
John, you hit some of it. I won't detail all of it, but I watched the every out of Mets Brewers first two games. I was at the Yankees yesterday, and I made a little list. I'm at the Met game tomorrow, and I wanted to kind of like go in with things. And I think they have four huge problems. Four. One is you hit. Their starting pitchers just don't go deep enough into the games, and they leave too many outs every day for their bullpen. And the Senga Minaya thing, who are kind of supposed to be 1-2 in this rotation, their downturn is I don't know how fixable it is. It's a big issue. Number two, they have like horrible numbers. They're right-hand hitters against lefty pitchers. Like they're doing no damage. Their two best guys against lefty pitchers are Soto and McNeil. Like Lindor's been terrible from the right side. Alonso in his good year, even a better year, has been bad. Vientos has been impossible. Tyrone Taylor has been unplayable just about because he hasn't hit lefties. Uh, the third is they've had three third basemen and they have no third baseman. Like they keep trying to find magic pixie dust and go round and round, and they haven't found that answer there. And the fourth thing is, and you mentioned it, is their stars. They have four guys who hit at the top of the lineup who they expect a lot about. And John, last year, if I were making a list of who are the most magical players in baseball, I mean, someplace in the top 4 or 5 are Lindor and Soto. Like they had so many big hits last year for the Mets and Yankees. And it just feels like Juan Soto's on the way to one of the most tepid 35 homer, 900 OPS seasons you could have. Lindor is down a bunch of grades. I think even a little on defense, there's some downside. Nimmo is striking out a ton, especially looking. And again, Alonso has this like great timeliness and great power, but if he's not going to do damage against lefties, it's a real problem for them. And I kind of feel like I don't know how fixable 3 quarters into the season those four issues are, and that's what would scare me.
Yeah, I mean, those are some big issues. I mean, I think at this point you probably should live with Beatty as a third baseman. Is he that much better than Mauricio and Vientos? I'm not sure. I think he's a little better defensively. I'm concerned about their defense not been great. Lindor's not been himself this year. It's ironic that it's the one year he made the All-Star team as a Met. He's hitting 243 as we do this. That's shocking. That's really not him. Now, I mean, he is an overall excellent defender. He's got power. He doesn't need to hit 300 to be effective, but 243, I mean, who would think he was going to hit 243? And I think the starting pitching is the biggest issue right now, right? Everybody but Peterson does not throw 6 innings, right? They're all throwing 5 tops. That's a problem. At this point, I'm calling up McLean. I don't know if he's solving the problem. I don't know how one starter is going to solve the problem, but I mean, they need to change the narrative somehow. You lose 12 out of 13. I saw somebody write, "Oh, well, most contending teams lose 12 out of 13 at some point." No, they don't. 12 out of 13 is not
Bullshit.
good. Yeah, that's not good. You don't want to lose 12 out of. Now, I mean, it's possible the 2017 Dodgers did it. The Yankee 2000 team was pretty terrible in September, but 12 out of 13 is fairly alarming at this point. I don't know about panicking, but need to change the narrative somehow.
I think both of the teams you picked, though, those Dodgers and those Yankees were way ahead and kind of took their foot off the gas pedal and had bad.
And they'd been a World Series, Yankees
Yeah.
team had been a World Series team
Yes.
for multiple years. So
Yes.
not as worrisome. This team, I don't know. It's hard to judge chemistry. It's mostly nice guys, but something's wrong right now. I mean, they're underperforming like nobody else in baseball. And there are some other teams probably with a worse record over the last 6 weeks, maybe the Rockies or the Nats or something. Nobody's underperforming like the Mets right now.
Yeah, and look, our good friend Mike Vaccaro, I often text with him about lots of stuff, but especially the Mets. And I was doing it during the series, the Met Brewers series, John, and I was like harping on the Brewers have two ways to win a game. They could win it or they force you to lose it. Like they said, the Saturday night game's a classic example. Lindor boots a ball, Mauricio boots a ball, they lose a game. The Mets and the Brewers are just excellent. They turn 27 outs into 30 on offense, and they only give you 27. And those 27 are hard to get because that bullpen is diverse and excellent. And it was a way for me to kind of maybe transition to the Yankees because I've spent over a year and a half preaching about how horse crap they are at baseball. And the funny thing is, so I asked post game yesterday, John, Aaron Boone, besides hitting a ball over the wall, what you keep telling us your team is going to play well. Usually to play well, you have to do a lot of things well. You can't just do one thing. I said, besides hitting a ball over the wall, what do you do well? What do the Yankees do well besides hitting a ball over the wall? He tried to make it like they have. I agree with him. They have better defensive players. McMahon's a good third baseman. Bellinger's good wherever you put him. Goldschmidt's good at first. Chisholm's better at second than at third. I get it. It's wonderful, but they're still not good on defense. They don't run the bases well. Their baseball IQ is stunningly terrible. And they don't hit for average. They strike out a lot. Their starting pitching to me is below average, especially if this is who they're going to get out freed. And their remade bullpen is like been homer like terrible and toxic for 6 weeks. How do you like they probably have to play about 560, 570 ball the rest of the way to make sure to get in? What do they do well, John, besides
Yeah,
hitting
you're
the ball
right.
defense?
You're right. They're not multidimensional. They do that one thing exceptionally well, though. They're really good at hitting the ball over the wall, and that's a big part of the game. So that covers up a lot of flaws. Overall, their offense is very good because they score a lot of runs because they do hit the ball over the wall. They do not do a lot of other things great. I do think their starting with Fried and Rodon should be pretty good. Their bullpen has good names. They should be pretty good. It has not been good. Bednar helps, right? And I think the fact that they've removed, it looks at least for now, have removed Devin Williams from the closer spot. That might help. And they're in the American League, so I mean, you're right. They're fairly one-dimensional, but it might be good enough. Your column today, you pointed out they got the Twins coming in. The Twins are a punching bag for the Yankees, I think is what you said. I can't disagree. Then you've got the Cardinals and the Rays. The American League, now the Cardinals are a National League team, but the American League overall is not great. And they may just get in. They may be one of the worst baseball teams that ever gets in the playoffs, but they are great at that one thing, and that may be enough to carry him.
John, look, uh, I think there's 4 or 5 teams in the National League that are the best teams in the sport. I think it's easy to make a Dodger, Philly, Padre, Brewer case that they are the 4 best teams. I think the problem for the Yankees is there's a lot of congestion at 6, 7, 8, 9, like in that period. Like I think it's still going to take getting to 88 probably to get in. So they've got to play better, a lot better to get to 88. I think they have it in them. But I thought the weekend was the example. They got a timely homer from Trent Grisham, which covered up a bunch of things they did wrong on Saturday. They won. They didn't hit a homer on Friday. They didn't hit a homer yesterday. They lost. And like the Astros are the anti-twins to them. Like guys like Correa and Altuve, they just feel the game. They're just such great baseball players. It's such a joy to watch great baseball players. Besides their talent, they just feel the game. They're just know they're under the Yankees' skin. They know how to do it. And the Yankees' inability to feel a game, just terrible.
Yeah, and stop booing them. It's only
Yes.
making them better, right? How is that effective at all? This has been going on since 2017.
No,
This
it's
is a long time. This is 8 years of this already, and
it's
Altuve is killing them.
anti-kryptonite. It's anti-kryptonite.
Cheer him. That'll throw him off. I
And
mean,
also at this point, we could say it wasn't just banging trash cans and buzzers.
no,
Like
they're pretty
they're
good, right?
great players. Like Brian Cashman saying like he considers 2017 a championship. That would hold water if they ever beat the Astros after that. But they don't.
Never beat him. And Altuve, why is Altuve? He didn't even want the trash can. I mean, most of them did, right? I get it. I understand why it's tainted and why the Yankee fans are upset and the Dodger fans are upset. But why is Altuve the face of this? I mean, Correa, I get. The rest of them, I get. And it's 8 years later, and it's not working. So I think give it up at this point. The Astros play the game very well. I mean, they've got multiple good lefties in the bullpen. They've got a pretty well constructed roster. They do a lot of little things right. Maybe they're not quite the Brewers, but they seem like a better baseball team than the Yankees, who are too dependent on the home run, not only the home run, but on the mega stars, as you pointed out. Certainly with Soto Judge last year. In previous years, it was Cole Judge, and this year it's Fried Judge. And right now, Fried and Judge are not carrying them because it happens. It's baseball. Nobody's great for 162 straight games.
Yep. John, look, I think they're a H&H team. They're heroes and homers. When they're heroes, their superstars play great. It camouflages a lot. When they hit homers, it camouflages a lot. But it's why I think when they get knocked out of the postseason, it's not a crapshoot. I mean, it's a little of a crapshoot. Short series stuff happens. But the way to win in the postseason is to be a good baseball team, plus have stars and homers. And they're exposed every year for not being good enough at this stuff. This is how they get eliminated every year, and they come back to the party and they don't get better at it. They don't even they either don't teach it well, don't emphasize it, or don't bring in the right players. And they keep playing casino baseball. We're going to put as many monsters who could hit the ball over the fence as possible, and guys who could spin it. And look, I just did this with Ryan Sampson on our Yankee pod webcast, John. I actually gave so much credit to Fried yesterday, who understood what he was out there for. He was desperately trying to pitch 7 innings. He was throwing it over the plate. I'm going after these guys. The Yankees have gotten 1 out in the 6th inning in the last 10 games. Them and the Mets have the same problem. They keep overexposing bullpens. You could both of them built bullpens up. If you use them every day, you'll find the weak link every day or two. And Fried was trying his hardest, and it would scare the hell out of me if I were the Yankees that he did not have the stuff, even with that plan, to get into past the 5th inning and give up fewer than 4 runs. He was perfectly aligned psychologically for what was needed, and not aligned physically. And he's one of the guys who has covered up all their crap early in the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's been great overall. He was certainly a Cy Young candidate for the first 3+ months, All-Star definitely, but at this point, he's not in the Cy Young conversation. Skubal and Crochet and Evaldi, who wasn't even an All-Star, I think, are ahead of him. But yeah, I mean, are they really going to need an MVP out of Judge and a Cy Young out of Fried to win, to get in there? They might. I don't know. I mean, they got a lot of issues, and I will say this: both teams built up the bullpen, but the Phillies got one guy in the bullpen. It might have been better just to get one guy who's controllable, who's better, right? We all kind of knew Duran was better, and Dave Dombrowski was willing to give up his number 4 and 6 prospect to get Duran, who's better than the guys the Yankees and the Mets got, and is controllable. Might have been worth it. He's a guy willing to trade prospects. It's great, that the Mets and the Yankees keep all their prospects, but maybe they should have gone after Duran. You heard whispers about whether is Helsley going to be good in New York. I don't know, and it's only been a couple of outings. I don't want to get on him. We don't know for sure, but it would have been better to go get Duran. He was the best one to get. They like 28 of the teams, they hold too tight to their prospects. The Padres and the Phillies don't do that. And right now they feel like real World Series contenders.
Yeah, I always think it's Padres, Phillies, Braves are willing to do what other
Right.
teams.
Braves and right.
Yeah,
They were actually done this year, but you're right. You're right.
those
3 teams.
those are the teams, and to me, they're the Moneyball teams. You're looking for the inefficiency,
Right.
right? That's what Moneyball
And
is.
the Dodgers they've already spent 400 million. So,
Yeah,
and they've got guys coming back. So I understand why they didn't. And they
right.
sometimes will do it. But, sometimes you got to trade a prospect. Are they all going to turn into Aaron Judge? I don't think so.
No, there's like 50 guys who are good enough to be really good year after year in the major leagues. The thought that you have a lot of those guys in your system is ridiculous. Just and by the way, the Dodgers traded Yordan Alvarez for Josh Fields. They've won 2 World Series since then. You could survive it if you're a good team. Like try. And all I'll do is, and I know you do this also. No, really, I say this all the time. No one works harder than John to canvass what's going on around the sport and talks to more people. Like Dombrowski's one of the guys that so many of the front offices make fun of. Like, oh, he's given up all this future talent. And it's like, right, he's been to World Series with 4 different teams. He might go again this year. The idea is to win in the major leagues, and you're going to have to tell me the guy who's ever burned them. Like,
Yeah,
who's the
one
best
GM
guy?
told me 15 years ago, one GM told, I said, who's the worst GM? And I'm not going to name who, and he said Dave Dombrowski. He's been to
Yeah.
the World Series multiple times since then. I know he trades prospects. Has he been to the World Series 5 or 6 times at this point?
Without
It's
being burned, though, John, like who's the best prospect he traded? Yohan Moncada, Michael Kopech? Like you have to say, like at the moment, oh, the prospect is thought great, but he's a real baseball guy. He probably has a feel for which of these guys are going to turn out. You'll
right.
notice he told every team again. I trust John heard all the same things I
Yeah,
heard. He told teams Andrew Painter is off limits. I'm not trading Andrew Painter, right?
right.
He probably feels great about Andrew Painter. I had heard weeks before that the guy Eduardo Tate was going to get traded. They're like, that's the guy Dave's going to trade. He's 18 years old and a catcher. Like the idea that he might be good in 2029 is of no interest to Dave Dombrowski. Like
Right,
he's trying to
right.
win this year's World Series.
I mean, the Mets were never going to trade, right? They were never going to trade Francisco Alvarez. He's
The Yankees
untouchable.
were
He's
never
the
going to
greatest.
trade Volpe, right?
Right. And they're fine. They're major league players.
Right.
They're productive players, but he's not Thurman Munson and Volpe's not Jeter. And Peraza was almost, I don't know if he was untouchable, but they really held tight to him forever before they finally gave him away.
Well, John, I've got to say it's the right moment to have Chris Russo on our air, 3 to 6 p.m. Sirius XM channel 82. Chris, thank you so much for joining us
Love
on.
to do it, guys. Love to do it. Love to do it.
Chris, I say it's the right time because there was a time, it's still true, Sirius XM, 3 to 6 p.m. channel 82, but where this is a moment where all of New York used to turn into Mike and the Mad Dog. When one or the other of the New York baseball teams was going like they are going right now. And we have had this for 8+ weeks for both teams. Chris, I trust your instincts. Go wherever you want. Both, one, the other. any way you want. What are you thinking right now? You're somebody who's obviously covered this scene for a long time and commentated on it.
Well, you listen, you two with the baseball. Yes, it would be a day-to-day topic with the fan base. Yes, we would lead with the Mets and Yankees every day. It'd be a little Jackson Dart in there, a little Jets Packers in there. It would be a little football, but it would be baseball 24/7. Mike and I love the baseball. The New York team's always, in September, the baseball is important. So you're right, Joel. If you go back, 15 years and the Mets and Yankees were in this, I don't want to say historical, but in this, remember the Mets lost 12 or 13? Is that what it is? And the Yankees have been bad for a
11
long
12,
period of
right?
time.
12 it is right now.
11 to 12. Okay. So this would be a topic every day. And the good thing about it is you can decide each day which one you want to lead with because both are bad. So one day maybe you lead with the Yankees, and the next day you lead with the Mets, and then you do an hour on the Mets, and then you do the next hour on the Yankees. You'd have a field day. You get the 5 hours. You'd be 6:30 before you know it. I am not as concerned. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think the Mets. Mets are going to make the playoffs. Okay, I don't have any. The Reds are not going to beat out the Mets. The Reds have not been more than 5 games over 500. I think once they were 6, but the Reds have been somewhere around where they are right now all year. And I love Frank Conan; he's a good manager. But the Reds, I'd be shocked if the Mets got that last spot. So the Mets are going to make the postseason. Now they're probably going to have to play in a wild card round, which is not what Steve Cohen envisioned when he spent $780 million for Soto. And we all know that wild card round's a crapshoot. Let's face it. Look at Alonso last year in that 9th inning. And I did Bill Schroeder today, the Brewer the analyst on the Brewers, who are 46-16. They have 62 games. So I'm a little less concerned about the Mets. I understand they played terribly. Their pitching doesn't get deep in games. But Nimmo and Lindor and Alonso and Soto, I still think in a short series, those guys can ignite and go crazy. Now, here's the thing, Johnny, if you think about it, if the season ended today, you know who the Mets would play in a wild card round, first round? You guys know that. The Dodgers. Because the Dodgers wouldn't have the top seed. Phillies got 49 losses. Dodgers have 50. So the Phillies and Dodgers would have the 1-2 slots. San Diego would be the 4, and the Cubs would be the 5, or the other way around. And the Mets would play the 3rd. Can you imagine Mets Dodgers in a 3-game series to advance to a division round? So that is alarming. But I do think the Mets will get in the wild card. The Yankees are a mess. I'm not a huge, I don't. Boone, been there a long time. I know everybody loves him. Personally, he's a great guy. I don't trust him in a big game. I still think Game 1 last year in the World Series was an epically, horrendously managed game. We all know about the, Cortez in the 9th. Where's Tim Hill on the 10th? Devin Williams back-to-back last week in Texas. Really? This is what we're going to do now? And the Yankees just aren't that good. I mean, I don't trust Rondon at all. He never goes deep in these games. I never trust him. Game 2 last year, World Series, when the Yankees desperately needed somebody to give him 7 good innings. He gets knocked out with a long ball in the 4th inning. I don't like him in a big game. And, listen, Judge can't do it all by himself. Bellinger's been great. I'd be more worried about the Yankees. Fried's been awful. Now, the other thing about the Yankees, guys, Cleveland's playing great right now, which is really hard to believe. I mean, I actually think the Yankees are threatened more by the wild card status than the Mets are, because Cleveland is more dangerous than the Reds, and Texas, despite losing 4 in a row, is still a threat. So Seattle should make it. Houston should make it. The Tigers will limp home. They get in. Toronto and maybe the Red Sox. So if the Yankees and the Guardians, I'd be a little more worried about the Yankees. And the Yankees are not going to go far once they get in because I don't trust them. I consider the Mets more dangerous in a short series, even if they played LA, than I do the Yankees. The Yankees have played badly for a long period of time. What are the Mets? 1-11. What are the Yankees? What's their record? What, 21, 19.
20 and 31 since June 13th.
There you go. I knew you'd have that, Joe.
Right.
51 games. They had 20. That's a long stretch of not playing well. That's half the season for them. They played, about 100 and a little more than that. They played about 120 games. I'd be very worried about the Yankees. I know the fans are all over Boone. If they don't make the playoffs, I still don't think Howard fire Boone. The Yankee fan will demand it. I don't think he'll give him that. But Yankees will probably chalk up the year. No Cole, a lot of injuries. They'll probably chalk it up to that. You know better than me, you two, than I do on that. But if you're asking me who I'm more worried about as far as making the postseason, is definitely the Yankees over the Mets. Definitely.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Chris. What do ultimately, do you think the Yankees get in? You seem like you're worried about them, but if you had
I
to
think the
bet,
Yankees are going to
do
get
you
in.
think they get in?
I
What do you
do.
think the deal is with the fundamentals? I mean, they
Well,
brought
and
in
base
all these
running and everything else.
great defensive players, Goldschmidt, McMahon, Bellinger, and they haven't changed. I mean, how can this be?
And they're terrible on the bases. Chisholm last week. What's he doing? It's not worth the risk trying to get an extra base. The Yankees, though, I do think will make the playoffs, and I'm big on this. Joel is not as big on this as me, because we used to talk about this on MLB and on MLB a lot. The Yankees played 23 games against the White Sox, the Twins, the Nationals, and the Orioles. Now, listen, I know the Yankees have been bad. They can't go 16-7 against those four teams. And the White Sox are more competitive, and the Orioles are a rivalry, and the Twins, beat 2 out of 3 of the Tigers last week. I gotta figure that schedule will help them a lot. And I know they got the Red Sox a lot, and they got Toronto, but I think playing 23 against those four teams could get them in over, say, Cleveland. So I guess the Yankees could be the 6th seed in the American League.
So I would ask this: I wonder. I bet you are. You a fan of the movie Rounders?
Yeah, I am.
So
Yes.
literally the first line of Rounders is Matt Damon is finding his money stash all over the place. He says, "Look, if you sit at a table and haven't figured out who the sucker is in 30 minutes, you're the sucker."
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the Yankees could look at the schedule and say those are all the suckers, but they might sit at the table and all those teams might be saying, "No, the Yankees are the suckers. They're not that good." And so I get you. They've had some soft spots in this schedule. The other thing that they can't do is talk about Cole and Schmidt. I'm telling you, if you go around the sport, every team is missing a lot of good players. Injuries is epidemic, especially with pitching. The Brewers just swept the series in which Freddie Peralta didn't start and Jason Mizorowski and Jackson Churio are on the injured list. I don't want to hear about injuries, especially when you have a $300 million plus payroll. You,
Excellent point. I agree.
like you got to rise to the moment. You made a lot of trades at the deadline to try to get better. This is awful because the Yankees do not, their chorus never rises. Either their superstars carry them, Soto Judge, Cole Judge, earlier this year, Judge Freed, or they do not rise. They do not rise because they don't play baseball well enough to rise if their great players don't play well.
That's an excellent point. And the other thing I would ask, how did the Yankees, who needed bullpen in a worse way, how did they not get Mason Miller or the kid from Minnesota who went to the Phillies? I don't understand. These are the Yankees. The Phillies thought the ninth inning was important, and Feller got freaking Miller. I know he gave up the third best prospect in the sport. The Yankees got a bunch of relievers. I mean, listen, one guy is not in the minor leagues. We understand that Bednar was good in Texas, but I mean, Bednar last year for the Pirates was awful, was atrocious. I know he was good against Pittsburgh. He had a good second outing there, but I was confused. The Yankees did a bullpen in a worse way, and they got beat to the 2 best relievers by the Phillies and the Padres. That surprised me, to be fair with it. And I know they didn't want to give up, the Lombard, the shortstop. I get that. And they are a bad fundamental baseball team. Their base running is bad. I think the interesting thing for me is now I know that Gabe Boone just came a 2-year extension. Is he in any kind of trouble if the Yankees flame out 2 games or if they don't make the playoffs at all? Could you see Howe making a decision? You two know more about that than me. I think that's interesting. How about that?
Yep. Yeah, about the trades. I mean, the Phillies and the Padres are the 2 aggressive teams. I think Atlanta's aggressive when they're good. I mean, you can't fault the Dodgers. They spent $400 million. They were aggressive in the winter, but really most of the GMs really protect these top prospects for good or bad. And I mean, the Yankees and Mets are like that. They didn't want to give up their top prospects. Dombrowski and Preller are always willing to. Let me ask you what you would do at manager. Now, Boone's in, what is it, Joel? Is this his 8th year, I think? Something like that, right? 8th
Yeah.
year.
2018.
2018 was his first year.
Okay, so 8th year. Do you have a better idea? I mean, obviously he's won a lot of games, hasn't won the big one, did get to the World Series last year. It's kind of funny that he just got a 3-year extension. I'm with you. I don't think they do anything, but Chris, do you have
Well,
somebody
here's what I
thinking?
would say. Here's what I would say about the Yankees. Okay, Boone's been there 8 years. He's won one World Series game, and he won the game when they were up down 3-0. He won one World Series game in 8. That's a long time as a Yankee manager to win. And let's face it, the Royals and the Guardians last year were not a gauntlet. Right? They were not playing the let's give you. They were not getting by the 78 Red Sox. Let's be fair. When they beat the American League Central. Here's what I would say about the Yankees. Okay, rank Boone as a manager. He's not better than Cora. He's not better than Bochy. He's not better than Francona. He's not better than Dave Roberts. He's not better than Torey Lovello. He's not better than A.J. Hinch. He's probably not better than Counsell, although postseason's been spotty, but he's probably not better than Counsell. I mean, how do the Yankees have a manager who's the 8th best? Now, you guys might think he's higher than but I think there's 8 managers in the sport better than freaking Boone. I mean, I'm not going to give you Snitker because he's old, but he won a world championship too. But Hinch, Francona, Bochy, Roberts, there's a lot of managers. Lovello, there's a lot of managers in the sport who are better than Boone. He is barely in the top 10. These are the New York Yankees. Well, I know they didn't want to hire Bochy because they got to listen to what, front office and all that nonsense. Francona gets a job again. You're telling me that Boone is a better manager than Terry Francona? Are you freaking crazy? How did Francona end up with the Reds? Did the Yankees put a call in? See if Francona. Hey, Terry, we had a bad World Series. Our manager killed us in game 1. He killed him in game 1, guys. That was awful. And Francona ends up in Cincinnati. He's not better than Cora. Now, listen. Everybody loves Boone, and he's not a bad manager, but he's been here a long time with one World Series win, and is, in my opinion, 7 or 8 managers in the sport better than he is. Yes, here he is.
Chris, my problem with Boone, which is all about baseball, because to know Aaron Boone is to like Aaron Boone.
Yeah, he's impossible not to like.
Which is why people don't scream about firing him. Like I think it's always, this is whatever. John and I literally covered Stump Merrill and Bucky Dent trying to manage the Yankees. We know how horse crap it could look if you have the wrong guy, completely the wrong guy. So there's 2 things that bother me very much about Aaron Boone Yankee teams, and I wonder what you think about him. Number one, he's a very one-note manager. He was hired for his positivity. This in football, baseball, basketball. If you get a yeller, the one, they come with the soft. Was following Girardi. It was a guy who would get along better with the front office and ownership, GM, and the players. And to me, I feel like this team needs a kick in the ass every once in a while.
I totally agree.
That it's not getting. He could tell me it's happening behind closed doors, but that leads to point number 2. You could tell me it's happening behind closed doors. You should stop telling me that because they're not listening, right? They're not getting better at it. The Yankees have been eliminated in the playoffs every time they're in the playoffs, and there's a singular thread through every time they get eliminated. The team they play plays baseball better than them, or the Yankees play it worse than the team they're playing. You could tell me a million different things about the 4 times they lost to the Astros in the postseason, Chris. All 4 times the Astros outplayed them as a baseball team. Besides, because guys like Bregman and Correa and Altuve are great baseball players besides being great talents. And Aaron Boone is either not being given the right paints to paint with to make it better, or he's not making it better. But the reality is he's the grandson's son and brother, and himself was a major leaguer. And if this doesn't appall him to his baseball soul, I think he's missing the point.
Yeah, I like to see him kick over a table once in a while, too. I agree with you 100%. And he's tough after these games with the media because everything is so positive. It drives you freaking crazy. Listen, I wasn't on. I screamed about it on TV and all, but I thought game 1 was a horrifically managed game by Boone.
Rich, you and I didn't even have the same thing. I thought the biggest issue in game 1 was not sticking with Weaver.
No, Weaver and Cole, the both of them.
Yes.
But Weaver should have pitched that 3rd inning, 100%, Joel. Right.
If you win game 1, like you give the guy 2 or 3 days off. You
Absolutely.
just finish
Yes.
game one. The fact
Yes.
that Jake Cousins is in the game instead of your best pitcher at that point, which was Weaver, was unacceptable to me.
Excellent. Good job. I should have thought of that. Plus taking Cole out, which he learned the second time. He's left Cole in there forever in game 5. He learned he made a mistake. Yeah, I
But where was the visit by a veteran manager or a veteran pitching coach when Cole was out of gas? If you're keeping him in the game, go out there and slow the game down a little.
Yeah,
Like
I trust it.
like real-time managing is not the strength of this team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't trust him in a big game. I really don't. Now, again, I don't think the Yankees are going to get. You know better than me, the both of you. I don't know enough about it. I'd be shocked if the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees are going to fire him. They just gave him that extension, as you said, so I don't think they're going to fire him. And we got to be fair. I looked this up the other day. Do you know that Judge? Well, you guys know this, and we all love Judge, but we got to be fair. He's hit 206 in 80-something postseason at bats, 58 games, with 83 strikeouts. I looked at, what Ruth hit in the postseason? If you take out a couple of games when he pitched and he had to go 0 for 5, 346 in postseason play. You got to do better than 205 with 86 strikeouts in 50-something games.
Giancarlo Stanton is what everyone wishes Judge was.
Yeah, he's not been a good postseason player, and he killed them last year. And that is, we were doing a top 10. That's where the conversation came up. I did it the other day. See what you guys think. We did a top 10 Yankee poll historically of all time. And a lot of people think Judge should be on it. I said, what? No way. Ruth, DiMaggio, Mantle, Garrick, Jeter, Mariano, Whitey, and Yogi. You start there. Those are the 8. How you want to go 9 and 10? You want to go Mattingly? You want to put Judge? I'll live with that. But Judge does not crack. Don't you guys agree? Those are the top 8.
I'm with you. I think he cracked. I think he was 9 or 10 for me at this point. I mean, he's still got career to go. I mean, let's face it. He's one of the top 2 MVP candidates this year at age 33. So he's got time to go, and he certainly can write his October story, I believe. So I'm with you, though. Those are the top 8 at this point. I mean, Judge may be a better player than some of them, but you got to go with championships with the Yankees. But I would sneak him into the 9 or 10. And by the way, I'm with both of you on the Weaver leaving him in the game. And Boone did say that afterward. That was the mistake that he regretted. I don't know if that's because Cashman whispered in his ear or he was just, thinking about it and came to that conclusion. But my opinion of him is that they will not make a change, as you said. They gave him a 3-year extension. He makes a great figure. He's a very good-looking, very pleasant guy who says the exact things that they want to hear. He's an all-American type guy. I'm going to be shocked if they make a change. Now, that said, I mean, who knows what will happen for the rest of the year, but he is coming off the World Series. They do have the injury excuse, as you mentioned. So I'm not seeing it. But let's get over to the Mets now, because they've been doing even worse than the Yankees lately. What do you think is going on there? They're getting not much out of, Lindor and Soto were 2 of the best 5 players in baseball last year. They have not been that this year. What do you think's going on with their hitting? They were supposed to have the best lineup in baseball. I looked it up. The median number of runs scored, average, 514. They're 1 below. They have 513 runs. They are below average in runs scored. I mean, what is going on there?
I can't understand it. I'm with you. Getting swept by the Brewers. No, yesterday they scored 6 runs. I won't kill them. Is hard to figure. Now, I will say this. Now, I don't like the matchup if they're playing LA, and that National League will be tricky. They're going to play a good team in that wild card round. Let's face it. They got San Diego, the Cubs. And they finished the season with the Cubs. Those games could be important for seeding and all that nonsense. They play in Wrigley Field, I believe, Joe, last 3 games of the year. But that will be I do have faith, and maybe it's too much faith because we just saw Soto and Lindor last year and Alonso. I do have faith that if the Mets will be a very dangerous team in a short series. Now, they don't have great pitching. We understand that. Senga never pitches. Outside of Peterson, they go 5 innings. I mean, it's the Stearns way. He learned it from Milwaukee. He's not going to invest a ton of money in this starting pitching. It worked last year until they got rolled by LA. That killed that Met pitching staff. It's hard to go out there and try to win with a lot of 3rd and 4th starters. Now, they think that Senga is on that level, but I got to see it. I mean, in the last 2 years, he never pitches this stat. Never. I mean, part of greatness is you got to go out there and pitch, and he never pitches. Now, I mean, legitimate injuries, but he doesn't pitch. But listen, I don't like what I see. I'm with you, and I watched all these Brewer games, but I do believe that in a postseason series against a good opponent, but against a postseason series, they will be a danger, even if they're on the road. Soto can hit a 3-run home run in the 6th inning to break open a game. Lindor can hit a big home run to break open a game. Alonso can do something to break open a game. Nimmo give you a good at bat. If Vientos gets in there, who the hell knows? Against Vesia, he hits a home run. I do have faith in what I saw last year that they can respond in a big spot. Now, if they don't and they collapse, we haven't seen Cohen in this situation before. I don't think he's gonna. What's he gonna do? He's gonna yell at Soto. He's gonna go out there and say something about Lindor. What's he gonna do? I mean, he's not gonna fire Mendoza. Everybody likes Mendoza, right? In New York, yeah. He's not gonna do that. Hey, he's not. Stearns has done a great job. You can't do anything with him. So I don't know exactly what he's gonna do. Hal's got a couple of options. I mean, he could theoretically fire Boone. I mean, there's a couple things that Hal. What could Cohen do? Well, we haven't heard Cohen. When the Mets have really had the 1 year they were bad, and then they brought Stearns and they fired Buck. We haven't heard from Cohen outside of his little tweets that nobody cares about. We haven't heard from Cohen meet the media and say, Steve, you got a $400 million payroll, and your team just got destroyed. First off, the Phillies beat you, and you just got destroyed in a first-round playoff series, and your big star hit 250 this year. Let me hear what you have to say. And it'll be interesting to hear those quotes. If he's angry, it's not acceptable. Bad year. It'd be interesting to see what the tone is in that situation. But to make a long story short, John, I do think I wouldn't want to play the Mets in a short series because they got great players. If they have dangerous and good players. Soto is going to the Hall of Fame. Soto is a great player. Lindor going to the Hall of Fame. These are great players that in a short series could find something, one at bat, and all of a sudden they break open these games. Even against a team like LA that's been terrible all year. And against that Dodger bullpen, which stinks. So that is the one thing that I would hold. I don't have confidence in the Yankees. Judge doesn't hit. I don't love the manager in a big spot. And, they have not had listen, the American League sounds good, but I don't have as much confidence in the Yankees if they make it than I do in the Mets. I think the Mets are dangerous.
National League is tougher, though. I mean, LA, you mentioned LA, but Philly's good. Milwaukee's good. San Diego is tough with that bullpen that you brought up before. Milwaukee's tough. I mean, look, the Yankees are playing. The Twins are in town for the Yankees. They got some cakewalk games, and when you get to the playoffs, who's good in the American League? I mean,
I agree with you. Well, Seattle. I'm going to make I looked at it today, and I watched the White Sox a little bit, the Mariners last week, because Kirby grew up in Rise, so we know Kirby. So I watched them some last week. The Mariners right now are very interesting. Number one, they got good pitching. The clubhouse feels good because they brought a lot of offensive guys in. They got a semblance of a middle of the lineup. Lauder's got 40-something. Was he got 45 home runs now? Is that what it is? He's got 45 home runs. And here's what I like about Seattle. They're due. Some of these franchises, I felt that way about the 2010 Giants when they beat the Phillies and the way they went. Seattle is due to get a little luck. Ball bound. They lost a tough series to Houston a couple years ago. They lost 17 innings, 1-0. You know how baseball is. A bloop single and everything else. Seattle is due. And I looked on FanDuel today. Do you know that Seattle has got the lowest odds to win it all of anybody in the American League? They're at plus 800. And the Tigers are at 950. And Houston's at 900. And Toronto's at 1,000. So everybody's thinking along the lines with me. They're going to make the playoffs. They could win the division. Watch Seattle have a great run. And boy, they are due. As a city, and never made the World Series. They don't have a lot of success. Can't Joel, you see Seattle have a great October? Can't you see that?
I'll say this. This falls into the I need to see it to believe it. They've made the playoffs once since 2001, and they're the only of the 30 current teams that have never been to the World Series. So first, let me see them get in. What they're good at doing is getting close and not getting in. So I need to see them get in. But I actually think they're a very talented team. Maybe with Ichiro, this is the year of the Mariners. They're
Maybe. Good point.
Roll all there.
They've had a lot of Hall of Famers. They didn't get in with all the other guys, Griffey,
Randy.
Yeah, Edgar. Well, but maybe. I mean, I'm kind of with you guys. I mean, I think Seattle looks pretty good right now.
Look,
Now, the thing that worries me about Milwaukee, Joel, they don't have a lot of power.
yeah.
You know, you got to be who in that lineup. You know,
But you know what, Chris? When you watch them,
they put the ball in play. Yeah.
They could get a victory two ways. They could win or you could lose. Like they're not going to beat themselves.
I agree.
So the worst team you could be playing when you're going through what the Mets have been going through recently is a team like the Brewers who are going to force you to win the game. And the Mets aren't up to it right now to win a game. Can I just add one thing? Because I'd be remiss because I was interested in the Judge stuff, and I'm going to jump right back to the Mets, which was it really stuck out to me on Old Timers Day, which is like, you know, the Red Sox didn't win a World Series for 80 odd years. You could be on their Mount Rushmore and not win a championship. You could be Ted Williams and Carl Yastrzemski. You can break into the Yankee top 10 even for me.
No way.
Without championships. Like Michael Kay is announcing everyone on Old Timers Day. The 3-time champion, the 4-time champion, the 2-time champion. Like, this is the Yankees, for better or worse. And it's one of the reasons why the way the Yankees play should bother that Aaron Judge as much as it bothers Aaron Boone, because his legacy is on the line here. You can't be the historically great Yankee if you don't win championships.
100%
You
right.
wouldn't put them in 9 or 10. I mean, 9
Maybe.
or 10. We're talking
Like,
about
we
the guy with
really-
the American League home run record.
We really throw out the lefty Gomez. I mean, like, because we didn't see it. Like, Bill Dickey's one of the 10 greatest catchers of all time and has how many championships? Like, whose career would you rather have? Like, like just because we didn't see it. These are the Yankees. For better or worse, these are the rules of engagement. He re-signed here. Understand, these are the rules of engagement. You got to win championships here. Otherwise, you can't be on the short list.
And he hasn't played well. And he hasn't played well. You know,
And he hasn't
given
played
you a
well.
Bobby
Can I
Richardson.
give you one? I noticed it. The Astros, one of the reasons they lose against the Astros all the time, he's played 50 regular season games against the Astros. He's hit 199. He's played 17 playoff games against the Astros. He's hit 200.
Wow.
200
Good
hitter
job.
in 67 games against the Astros. You're going to have to get through the Astros. You got to do better.
That's a good point. That's a great stat. I didn't see that. All right, how about the Mets for you? John and I seem to think they're dangerous. What do you think? Let me hear, Joe.
So I think they have lots of problems. But the benefit is the National League is top heavy, but it might not be 7-team heavy. I don't really believe in the Reds either, or the Giants or the Cardinals or whoever might be sitting behind them. So I think they get in. Now they have to play well to get in from here to the end, but I almost think, do they need to be thinking about trying to create the best postseason team possible? John, more than me, but I kind of agree with him, is wondering about bringing some of these young pitchers up, because I think in tournament baseball, which is a little bit September and all of October, I might like to have Nolan McLean and Brandon Sprout's arms over some of the guys I'm watching throw right now. They're not, the Mets are not getting length. So if you're not getting length from your starters, just turn it into tournament ball with the 13 best pitchers you have in your organization.
Well, why haven't they called them up so far? Well,
there's roster. The problem is they built a bullpen that doesn't have any optionality. So your decisions, and these decisions might come, is you might have to release Paul Blackburn. You might have to release Ryan Stanek. Like, because it isn't like you could stash them and you could only have 13.
Ryan Stanek's not going to pitch at a world championship anyway. What's the big deal? Right?
So I like that, but that's the thought process I'd have also, Chris, which is if I'm playing for a championship, I'm with you. I think that they could still get through the National League, though the National League's a gauntlet. But I think they have to start thinking about what's the team that can play that tournament. And I think it needs some better pitching. Is that they know the young guys better than us three, but who's the best of the three in their mind, ready to retire hitters right now? Who's the closest to Mizorowski they have? They should bring it up.
I think they think McLean is the closest to the big leagues. Tong has been absolutely dominant. I want to. I mean, they would not trade. These guys are all untouchable, right? And they're not 17, 18, 19 years old. I think Tong's the youngest at 22. Sproat was a college player. McLean is also over 23. Might even be 24. I want to see them because I don't think the team now, I don't think the pitching is good enough to get through that National League gauntlet as constructed.
I agree. I mean, I don't think it is either. I think there'd be a lot of pressure, though, on some of those NL teams. I think there's pressure on San Diego. And I know San Diego is a very cocky team and they're swagger, but they got, let's face it, they talked a big game. And the last 2 games against the Dodgers last year, they did absolutely nothing. So to me, San Diego's got something to prove. I think the Phillies too. You know, they lost to Houston. We gave them a break. They got to a World Series. Arizona was unforgivable. Last year, they didn't show up against the Mets. This is the 5th year now. I think the Phillies, they got a great pitching staff. They bring in a closer. Their offense can be up and down. They can be very streaky offensively. A lot of, Castellanos, Trey Turner. I got to see the Phillies. I think there's a lot of, even Schwarber. I know he walks and everything else, but they have a lot of pressure on the Phillies. It'll be interesting to see how, and that crowd will get, that's a tough place to play when things aren't going good because that crowd can be dicey. Sometimes it's a great home field when they're winning, but when they're not winning, they get a little noisy against you, and that adds to the tension. So we'll see about the Phillies' pressure on them. I think Milwaukee's going to have to put a stamp on their regular season success, and they have not been a good postseason team. Washington in a wild card game, they got blitzed by Atlanta. Last year was bad. I think there'll be some pressure on the Brewers, and the Dodgers, of course, are always going to have pressure on them, even if they're the defending champ. So I think the National League's interesting. There's a lot of, Houston doesn't have any pressure on them. What pressure does Houston have? They've won so much. I mean, I don't have a lot, a bit pressure on Seattle a little bit. Detroit's had a great year. I can't kill the Tigers. But I think a lot of those NL teams, the Mets, the Phillies, Milwaukee, the Dodgers, I think 4 of them will have a lot of pressure on them in the postseason. And the Cubs, I know they're the lovable Cubs, but they did give Counsell $40 million to go out there and win a playoff game. And he's won, I think his playoff record stinks, right? I mean, I know he won the 1 round. He played 7 games against the Dodgers, but, he has not been good in the postseason. And it's funny about the Cubs. They gave $40 million to Counsell. The Brewers beat them out last year. They stunk. And then the Brewers have tracked them down. I got a 6-game lead with Murphy, making half the money that he is, if that.
Half.
Counsell. Well,
Murphy would beg you for half. Trust me.
Was he making about $1 million a year, probably?
Probably. Yeah. It's not half a Counsell. He won NL Manager of the Year last year. He might win it again this year.
He should.
Yeah, he's got to be on your list.
Yep.
Chris, you got to put him. You had a great list for managers, but I got to put Murphy on there too.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair. I like to see him win a playoff series, but I think that's a fair point. Do you agree with me, by the way, on the Boone list? Or I think I'm being too harsh on him?
No, I think you're fair. I do think you're fair. I'm glad you had Roberts in there. A lot of people don't put Roberts in there. I mean, he's won 2 World Series. I don't know what they want. His record in the postseason is outstanding. He handles a lot of big stars. I think he's great.
Roberts has got to be. He's got the 2 titles, right, Joe? You got to put him in the freaking list. That's all there is to it.
I put him at the top of the list.
Yeah,
Chris,
maybe.
As a way to wrap up here, and we're so thankful for all the time you've given us here. Really, we so love it. I saved my basketball-ish thing for last because it annoys John, but I think it's a New York question, and you've been such an observer of New York. It was interesting to me. While the Mets and Yankees were good this year, it almost mirrored a point where the Knicks were in the playoffs and nobody kind of was paying attention to the Yankees and Mets. Like the Knicks were the #1 story in town by so much. The minute the Knicks season ended, the Mets and Yankees have gone bad together. But it is interesting. They've been equally bad for the same amount of time, and the Yankees are getting beat up more, which reminds me that Steve Cohen's desire is to be the team of New York. But even when they're bad, everyone is madder at the Yankees than at the Mets right now. And the Mets are getting cover. If the Yankees were just okay, playing 500 ball for the last 8 weeks, the Mets would be getting killed. The Mets are getting some level of cover because the Yankees are so bad, even though they're equally bad for 8 weeks.
Yeah. No, the Mets had, this last stretch, it's been a little more of a sudden thing. The Yankees have been, and I think Boone's got something to do with it. I've been here a long time, and nobody's going to pick on him. I do think Boone's got something to do with it. Plus, the Yankees lost Soto. Fried's not been awful. He has been bad. Fried can't get, I know everybody's making a big deal that he got out of the 5th inning last week against Texas. Hey, come on. You paid him $210 million. You got to get him out of the 5th inning. He showed guts because he got out of the 5th inning, the game that they ended up losing. Yeah, it's interesting. The Knicks were a cover for the 2 teams. I think the interesting thing to me, if I was the owner, if the Yankees can't figure out a way with the Guardians chasing them, I mean, the Guardians now, all right? The Texans are a game. Texas has not played well in the last 4 or 5 games. With that schedule, the White Sox, the Orioles, the Nationals, and the Twins. I mean, geez, they got 2 series with Minnesota, 2 with the White Sox, 2 with the Orioles, and a series with Washington. If they can't, with half their schedules against those 4 teams, if the Yankees don't get in and get caught by Cleveland and end up, 83 and 79, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, that is an atrocious job by the manager. I don't think there's any excuse. You got to, with that schedule, with a bad American League, you got to figure out a way to win 85, 88 games to make the playoffs. Don't you guys think that? I don't know how you don't.
I agree with you, and I would not stop at the manager. That's an atrocious job by a franchise.
Really? But Cashman's nothing's going to happen to Cashman.
Right, but like I get it. I get the manager is the easy duck to shoot at here. But this is Hal Steinbrenner's belief system, fed through Brian Cashman, down through Aaron Boone, into the clubhouse with Aaron Judge. To me, they're all co-conspirators in underachieving. And will the manager, as they always do, coaches and managers, be the one who pays the price? Maybe. I doubt he'll get fired. If he does, okay, probably there's some level to deserve it. But this is a terrible job by a franchise, not by a manager alone.
Excellent point. John,
what if they're caught by, you keep mentioning Cleveland. What if they're caught by Texas? That's not as bad, right? It's just that it's
well,
Cleveland.
I guess it isn't because they got a big payroll. Texas has been odd all year, though.
They've been odd, but they have DeGrom and Evaldi and Kelly. They've got players. Seager's should be a Hall of Famer, I think. I mean, they got a team. So it does sound worse when you say Cleveland. The way you say it, it sounds pretty bad.
And you know who plays? You know who plays that Cleveland the last 3 games of the season? Texas. How about the Yankees are out of it, and Texas and Cleveland are playing for the last wild card spot? Boy, Manfred would go crazy. Really? Where are my Yankees? I mean, Texas and Cleveland in the last. No, they play the last 3 games of the year. Listen, I think the Mets will be the Reds aren't catching the Mets, and because the schedule is so easy, I'm going to give the Yankees the nod for that last spot in the American League. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, Chris, the one thing we'll hope for is that we'll get you back and we'll talk about it.
Oh, you guys are great. Love you. The both of you.
Chris, we can't, it was really literally at a moment's notice. If people only knew what today was for me and John trying to put this together with the help of our great producer, Ryan Sampson, and that you jumped on and helped us at an interesting time in New York baseball. We're really appreciative. All the best, Chris, okay?
You keep it up. We read you all the time, both of you. Johnny, thanks, pal.
Thanks, Chris.
John, hit or error?
I'm going to give a hit, and it's to a Yankee. Trent Grisham is actually having a huge year. I saw somewhere in key situations, however they define that, he's got a 1276 OPS. I mean, he was basically a throw-in in the Soto deal, and at least in this moment, he's certainly doing better than Soto in the clutch and basically everybody else. So, and he saved the Yankee weekend, such as it was. Anyway, so I'm going to give my hit. I'm in a very generous mood today. Yeah, hit to the Yankees, Trent Grisham.
Look, I think that's a great pick, John, including I wasn't sure they were going to tender him a contract in December. Right. He didn't play. They knew they were going to add Bellinger. He's really had a good year and set himself up. Both him and Bellinger are free agents. It'll be interesting what the Yankees do with one or both as we move forward here. John, I'm going to give a hit to the Cleveland Guardians. They, among other things, lost the key starter and their best reliever, their closer, Emmanuel Clase, are on administrative leave. As part of a gambling probe. They were sellers at the deadline, and there's something in their institution. They just keep winning games. They're starting to breathe a little closer to the Tigers, but the Tigers probably are too far out ahead. They got too far. Tigers have been bad for about the same period the Mets and Yankees have been bad. They haven't really been pressed in the Central, but Cleveland's right on the Yankees' back with about a third of their payroll. I think they're a half game back as you and I are speaking to begin the work week here on Monday. Good job by Chris Antonetti, who joined us last week, and Mike Chernoff, and everybody involved with that team. They're sticking with it. I hope people go to the ballpark there and watch their games.
Yes, that should be known to future guests. We are not a jinx. Antonetti was on, and they've been great ever since. They are like the Brewers of the American League. They fool me every year. I never thought they would compete, contend, whatever. They are over 500. They're on the Yankees' heels by half game as we do this. It's really remarkable. As you mentioned, one-third the payroll. They were a seller. They ended up only selling two guys who were hurt and are coming back, but they did sell, and they talked about selling a bunch of other pieces, and they have a big gambling issue hanging over two of their pitchers' heads, including their star closer. It's really remarkable what they do, not only this year, year in and year out.
Yeah, John, we are no jinx. I think our last two guests are they Pat Murphy and Chris Antonetti?
Right.
Yeah,
We're on a hot streak.
we're on a
We'll
hot streak.
see.
Come
See if
come
that
join us
lasts.
on the come join us on the show. It's because we know it's always well produced. Ryan Sampson stepped in this week, which was really valuable to us. Get the show done early in the week. We thank Ryan as always for being such a help. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to our podcast, please rate and review us. It does help the show. The New York Post YouTube page. John and I look so good in these. Me from my home, John sitting at MLB Network with hangers behind him. You don't want to miss that. It's a highlight of the show. And
I
please.
took the hangers off. The hangers aren't
Oh, you know what? They are my hangers. Wow.
Special treat.
And I'm
Special,
wearing
still
glasses. I'm wearing glasses. I thought they were hangers. Wow. Bad
It's not a
eyesight.
great background. Generally, you are correct. It's not a good background.
Whose office today? Whose office are you
Dan
in?
O'Dowd, and
Dan
I think
O'Dowd.
it's the O'Dowd Verducci office. I
So
think.
that's a good one. Good spacious office. Anyway, give us a view on the New York Post YouTube page. Again, it helps the show. If you like the show, please support the show. And that means also sticking with us on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman.